Who are the people in your neighborhood? They're the people that you meet when you're on a quarantine. They're the people that you meet each day.
Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of Who Are the People in Your Neighborhood? I'm so excited about today's interview because I am joined by one of my actual closest friends. This is Kathy Parsons. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Missy.
Now, Kathy is a little hidden gem that I'm excited to share with you guys because she is a school teacher. She teaches at Murdoch, and she is a TKK. She's taken all the K's teacher, which I'll let her explain to you what exactly that means. And also, Kathy, can you introduce what you do and then also tell us how your teaching has been impacted by the coronavirus and what you're doing now for school?
Okay, so a TK stands for Transitional Kindergarten, which is one of the names that they have used for a public school classroom that's the year before kindergarten. It's supposed to be not a repeat or pre-peat of kindergarten. It's supposed to be its own year of activities and helping kids bridge the gap between either a preschool or not a preschool and an actual public school setting. So this year we didn't have enough kids to make a full class, so I'm doing a combination class. We had so many kindergartners and not enough TKers that I have half of my class kindergarten and half of my class is TK. And so that's what we've been dealing with. And it's been a joy, but as some people say, it's like herding cats. And this year has become even more complicated because of the COVID-19. We've had to do everything different and stop seeing our students in person every day, and now are trying to figure out how to do distance learning for littles. So that's where we're at.
Which has proposed a unique challenge. You and I have been talking about this. With older kids, you can provide, here's some materials, do this task. But with the little ones, it's a very hands-on job. So you've been trying to move that to an online forum.
Yeah, it's been really a learning curve for me because all the media platforms, I have been familiar with Facebook and can do that, but operating my own page that's just exclusive to my class and being the curator of that is a little different than I've ever done before. And trying to learn to do a YouTube channel. Plus the materials, the actual materials that I teach, I'm very familiar and comfortable with teaching, but trying to translate that, as you said, for children, little tiny children, is a really different thing to do online.
It's different when there's not a human in front of them. So,
Yeah.
Kathy, I asked Kathy to come on today specifically for this conversation about play, because Kathy does a lot of her teaching, as she's saying, in person. A lot of it involves being physically present with the kids, and play is a big part of how she teaches the kids. So this is something that her and I talk about in private conversations all the time because my son is 3, almost 4, and Kathy has a wealth of knowledge on play and how play is needed for our brains and for creativity and growth. So Kathy, can you talk a bit about play? I feel like there's never been a more important time for play than there is now. So can you talk about the importance of play and kind of give us some background on that and how you use it?
I absolutely agree that there's never been a more important time for play than right now because we're so stressed about all the things that are happening to us. Everything is different, everything is new. And play, as we just talked about, is an opportunity to recreate, to recreate who we are and what we're doing, and for kids to figure out how to do that. And so it's really important, even when times are typical, to have play be a big piece of what children do multiple times a day. And it's a big piece of what we need to do right now to help de-stress for kids and for adults. Playing is something that you do for the joy of it. It helps you to be released. It seems like it's non-purposeful in what you're trying to do, but in fact, we've found that scientists have really supported the idea that there's a lot of important things that come from playing and free play. So not so much like a video game playing I'm talking about, but I'm talking about an activity that a child will do. And we were talking the other day about an instance that Stuart Brown in his really important book titled Play talked about two girls that as children they played with Barbies when Barbies were a new thing, and how when he did his play history with one of them, she discovered that a lot of things that she and her best friend did with their Barbies kind of echoed what they ended up doing as adults in their social interactions and in how they approach life. So kids can work out a lot of things and kind of pre-planning about how they interact and how they cope through play and playing with little kids. And I see that in the classroom all the time. They're trying to understand how to deal with a child who's doing something they don't want them to do, or who is not following their directions, that sort of thing, and how play is so adaptive, and they learn how to negotiate those things from play. And they also get that physical and emotional release of just having the joy of being playful.
I love this. And I have so many follow-up questions to that, because as a parent of a young child, you know, play, we think of, we're like to our kids, go play, just go play. And
Right.
a lot of kids don't know how to play anymore, truly.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes my son falls into this, you know, he's 3, almost 4, and he'll just be like, like, what do I go play with? How do I play? And so Kathy's taught me ways to engage him in play and get him doing things that are creative and they're helping him think outside the box. And that made me think of the other day, Kathy and I were playing with Bo, and he was playing that his foot was a pancake, and he was serving all these different things on his pancake foot. But what was interesting is later in the night, he dropped his pancake, his foot, on the floor, and then was talking about how it had germs now. We got to wash it. People are going to get sick. And
Mm-hmm.
that was through his play. It was his experience with COVID-19
Right.
coming out in the play. And it was really interesting for me to see that as a parent, like, oh yeah, play is a way for our kids to process what's happening in their world. And I think as a parent, allowing them to do that, creating the space and not being like, your foot's not a pancake.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
right.
Yeah. So this is great. Can you give parents like me, Kathy, tips on how we can help our kids play and how we ourselves can play as adults? Because I think this is applicable to all ages. How can we bring more play into our homes during this stressful time?
Well, I think that just being engaged and being present, I often see when children play together, there's sometimes their kids at the age that I serve are still into parallel play, which means that they want to be next to a person, but they don't want to be engaged in the same game. And as they age through this year, they're learning to be more engaged. And I think that we can take as adults a clue from that. Our kids will be satisfied if we parallel play, if we're there, but they will be really enriched if we play with them, and if we don't treat it like it's this obligation of something that I have to do, but we fully get into the moment, as people like to say now, we're fully present with it, and we actually interact with them. And I know that in this in our world today, it's hard to do that with your children because you're so busy, but it's really something that's really important to be engaged with them and let them follow, or you follow their lead to let them do something, and then you engage. Like yesterday, I didn't make up the game that Bo was playing with his foot as a pancake. He invented it, and then we went with it. And I think that that's an important thing. And it's also important to let your children know that you value their play and you value your play. In our society today, we've kind of gotten into this place where if an adult is super busy, that's a good thing. It's kind of almost a status symbol that you're always exhausted, because that means you're producing a lot of things. But we're not really getting enough sleep, and we're not really getting enough play to regenerate ourselves to be focused on what we're needing to do. And that's the way it is for children too. So if you're engaged with your kid and letting them do, and you're doing with them, then it doesn't matter if your foot is a pancake or if you're using pretend, plastic food to pretend to have a restaurant, or whatever it might be. You're there to be engaged and not to be entertained like you are with a movie or a video game where it's doing the work.
I love that. I think the takeaway too is that it doesn't require a lot of planning or a lot of preparation. It's just actually being present just allowing your kid to do whatever they're doing. You don't even need materials. The
Right.
food can become a pancake.
That's right. And we
Yeah.
were talking, my son, when he was a little boy, he went to grandma's house, and grandma, at Christmas time, we were there, and grandma got him all these wonderful toys. It was really great. And he spent the first couple of hours playing with the boxes rather than toys. And you see that, we were just talking about a movie where you see that the foster parents were completely floored because the kid was playing with the boxes, not the toy.
Yeah.
Because they have imagination.
I think all parents have had that experience where it's like tissue paper, yay!
Yeah.
It's the greatest thing in the world. Okay, this conversation could go on for a week. So,
Okay.
so many good points though. I love the things that you said, and I think the recap here is that play is important for creating. And like you said in that Stuart Brown book, I read 2 paragraphs yesterday. I have that book too. Kathy gave it to me, and what I loved in there is he said the reason that play is called recreation is because it is actually recreation, where you take whatever circumstance and scenario you're currently in, and with you, when you play in it and with it, you get to recreate how it's happening. And he in his book talked about how, like, kids, they'll constantly build things and then destroy them. Like my son will build castles and towers and then he'll immediately knock them down, and that is his play because he knows he can recreate it better than before. So I think in this current scenario we're in with this virus and the way that it has changed our lives, it's almost like we've built this amazing castle and then the virus came through and has wiped it out. And
Yeah.
play is a really cool way that we have right now to recreate it and to be imaginative and to look at our lives in the future and to say, I want it to be this way and I want it to be that way, and be imaginative and to play with it, truly to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So thank you, Kathy. The take home on this is play. Don't make it
Yep.
stressful, be present, play. And Kathy is welcoming anyone to come to her Facebook page, her personal page. She posts very insightful things. She's going to share a video with us, right, Kathy?
Yeah,
About
I
play?
will. I
Yeah.
was targeting the parents of my students, but I will be happy to share that with everyone.
And I'm happy to watch it. So I'll share her Facebook info at the end of this video. And yeah, guys, play. If you don't have kids at home, just play. There's play
Yep,
for
that's
everyone.
right. There
Play
is.
for all. All right. Thank you so much, Kathy.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.